Maya never believed silence could speak so loudly until she met Eliza. It wasn't just the pauses in their conversations or the quiet moments in between laughter. It was the way silence wrapped around them like a secret, carrying feelings that neither dared to say out loud. From the moment they became friends, Maya felt something stir inside her, something unfamiliar yet undeniably powerful. They had met during their second year of university, in the library of all places. Eliza was sitting cross-legged on the floor in front of the philosophy section, flipping through a worn-out book, her brow furrowed in concentration. Maya had reached for a book on the same shelf, their hands brushing briefly. It was such a small, ordinary thing, but Maya never forgot the way Eliza looked up at her and smiled, like she already knew her somehow. That smile became the spark of countless late-night study sessions, coffee runs, and whispered conversations in crowded lecture halls. The friendship grew naturally, effortlessly, but alongside it, something deeper took root. Maya found herself noticing the tiniest things about Eliza, the way she tucked her hair behind her ear when she was nervous, how she bit her lip when she was thinking hard, or the way her eyes seemed to light up when she talked about her favorite books. Those little details carved themselves into Maya's memory, and each one made her heart beat a little faster. Sometimes, when they were together, Maya thought she caught Eliza staring back. Not in the casual way friends look at each other, but in the way someone gazes when they're caught between curiosity and longing. Their eyes would meet, just for a second too long, and Maya would feel her breath hitch. But then the moment would pass as if it had never happened at all. One evening, after a particularly exhausting day of classes, Maya invited Eliza over. They sprawled on the couch with snacks and blankets, pretending to watch a movie but hardly paying attention to the screen. Eliza's laughter filled the room like music, and Maya found herself leaning closer without even realizing it. Their shoulders brushed lightly, and neither of them moved away. That simple touch sent a shiver through Maya's body, and she wondered if Eliza felt it too. For a moment, Maya thought about closing the small distance between them. The thought of kissing Eliza flashed through her mind, so vivid it made her heart race. She imagined what it would feel like, soft and warm, filled with all the words she couldn't say. But then the doubt crept in, sharp and paralyzing. What if she doesn't feel the same? What if I ruin everything? So Maya stayed still, caught in the limbo between courage and fear. Later, when Eliza left and Maya stood by the door watching her walk away, she felt the weight of everything unsaid pressing against her chest. She wanted to call out, to stop her, to say stay. But the words never came. The days after that night on the couch felt heavier for Maya. It wasn't just the usual weight of assignments and deadlines, it was the growing ache of something unspoken. Every time she was with Eliza, she felt both joy and pain, joy in being close, pain in not being able to say what her heart truly wanted. Maya began writing messages she never sent. Late at night, she'd type confessions into her phone, "I think I like you more than a friend. Do you ever feel this too?" And then delete them in panic before morning. She rehearsed the words in her head countless times, but when she imagined Eliza's possible reaction, her courage crumbled. One rainy evening, they went to their favorite cafe near campus. The windows fogged up from the warmth inside, and raindrops slid down the glass like racing tears. They sat by the window, Eliza in her oversized gray sweater, hair slightly damp from the rain. She looked so effortlessly beautiful that Maya felt her throat tighten. They talked about nothing and everything: classes, music, a silly professor's habit of mispronouncing names. Yet underneath the laughter, the silence returned, thick and lingering. It wasn't the silence of strangers or boredom. It was a silence charged with questions neither dared to ask. "Maya?" Eliza's voice broke through softly, as though she had been building the courage to speak for a while. She stirred her coffee absent-mindedly, eyes fixed on the swirling foam. "Do you ever feel like there's something you want to say, but you don't know how?" Maya froze. Her heart leapt into her throat. Could it be? Was Eliza speaking about the same thing that kept Maya awake at night? She wanted to ask directly, wanted to take Eliza's hand across the table and whisper, "Yes, I feel it too." But fear clawed at her chest, whispering reminders of what she might lose. So she forced a laugh, nervous and shaky. "All the time," she replied, hoping her voice didn't betray the storm inside her. Eliza gave a small smile, but it wasn't the carefree one Maya loved. It was softer, sadder, the kind of smile that carried its own secrets. Their eyes met briefly, and in that glance, Maya swore there was something unspoken shining in Eliza's gaze. But as always, it slipped away into silence. When Maya got home that night, she lay awake staring at the ceiling, rain still pattering against the windows. She replayed Eliza's question over and over in her mind, wishing she had been brave enough to answer honestly. Maybe Eliza's silence was the same as hers, a scared kind of maybe, an unsaid yes hiding behind a fragile no. And once again, Maya found herself trapped in that painful in-between, the space where hearts hesitate, the space between yes and no. The tension between them grew like an invisible thread pulling tighter with each passing week. Every laugh, every touch, every shared secret seemed to hum with something more. Maya thought about it constantly, how close they were to crossing a line that neither dared to step over. When a friend invited them to a party, Maya wasn't sure she wanted to go. But when she learned Eliza would be there, she couldn't resist. The night was filled with music, laughter, and dancing, but Maya's attention never strayed far from Eliza. She looked radiant, her hair falling in soft waves, her smile brighter than the neon lights flickering in the living room. Hours into the night, the crowd and noise became overwhelming. Maya slipped onto the balcony for some air, and moments later, Eliza joined her. The city stretched out below them, lights twinkling like stars on the ground. Above, the real stars peeked through a hazy sky, and the cool breeze carried with it the faint scent of jasmine from a nearby garden. "You always escape the noise too?" Eliza asked with a playful grin. Maya nodded. "I like the quiet. Feels honest." They leaned against the railing, shoulders brushing again. The simple touch ignited that familiar spark, one that Maya could no longer ignore. Eliza noticed too. Maya could see it in the way her breath hitched, in how her gaze lingered on Maya's lips for a fraction of a second too long. Then, something shifted. Eliza turned slightly, closing the distance between them. Her hand brushed against Maya's, fingers grazing lightly, deliberately. Their eyes locked, and suddenly the world seemed to hold its breath. Maya's heart pounded so loudly she was sure Eliza could hear it. She could feel the warmth radiating from her, the closeness of her lips. Eliza leaned in, slowly, giving Maya time to pull away. Maya didn't move. She didn't want to. Every nerve in her body screamed yes. But just as their lips were about to meet, laughter from inside spilled onto the balcony as someone opened the door. The moment shattered. They both jerked back, cheeks flushed, pretending to laugh it off as though nothing had happened. They returned to the party, but Maya felt the ghost of that almost kiss on her lips the rest of the night. Later, lying in bed, she pressed her fingers to her mouth, imagining what it would have been like if she hadn't hesitated. If she had leaned in, if Eliza had closed the gap fully. The ache was unbearable, so close to love, yet not quite there. It was torture, living in the almost. Torture to exist in the fragile pause where everything could change, but nothing did. Once again, she was stuck in that aching pause, the space between yes and no. By now, the silence between them had grown too loud to ignore. It wasn't the comfortable quiet of friendship anymore. It was heavy, full of questions and longing. Maya knew she couldn't keep hiding forever. If she didn't speak soon, she might lose Eliza, not just the chance at love, but their friendship too. And that terrified her even more. One evening, she invited Eliza over again. They ordered pizza, sprawled on the floor with blankets, the glow of candles flickering softly around them. They laughed about silly things, sang along to songs on Maya's playlist, and for a moment, everything felt like it always had. But beneath it all, Maya felt her courage stirring, stronger this time. As the laughter faded, Eliza grew quiet. She stared at Maya for a long moment, eyes soft, unreadable. Finally, she spoke, her voice almost a whisper. "Maya, why do I feel like you're not telling me something?" The question hit like a lightning bolt. Maya's chest tightened, but instead of pushing the words away like before, she inhaled deeply. This time, she wouldn't run. This time, she had to choose courage over fear. She reached for Eliza's hand, trembling but steady enough to hold on. "Because I've been scared," Maya admitted, her voice barely holding. "Scared of ruining what we have. Scared of losing you. But the truth is, I can't keep pretending. Eliza, I like you. More than a friend. Maybe I always have." For a heartbeat, Eliza didn't speak. The silence stretched, and Maya felt panic rising until Eliza's lips curved into the softest, most beautiful smile. Her eyes glistened, not with shock, but with relief. "I was waiting for you to say that," Eliza whispered. Before Maya could reply, Eliza leaned in. Their lips met in a kiss that was both gentle and certain, filled with all the words they had never spoken. It wasn't rushed or hesitant. It was the kind of kiss that made time slow, the kind that told Maya she had finally stepped out of fear and into truth. When they pulled back, Eliza rested her forehead against Maya's and whispered, "I was always caught in the same space, too, afraid to say yes, afraid to lose you. But now I know, yes is the only answer I want." Maya's heart swelled with something fierce and tender all at once. In that moment, she realized love doesn't live in hesitation. It doesn't survive in silence or fear. It blossoms the instant you dare to cross the invisible line, to step beyond the maybe. And finally, Maya understood. She had left behind the torment of the in-between. Together, they had chosen yes. The days after their first kiss felt like stepping into a new world. Nothing looked different on the surface. Classes were the same, coffee shops were the same, their routines unchanged, but for Maya, everything shimmered with new meaning. Walking beside Eliza, hearing her laugh, brushing her hand, it all felt charged with a quiet magic that hadn't existed before. They didn't announce anything to anyone, not yet. What they had felt too delicate, too precious to expose to the noise of the world. Instead, they carried it quietly between them like a secret treasure. A glance across the room, a soft brush of fingers when no one was looking, a stolen kiss in the hushed corners of the library. These moments became the language of their love. But it wasn't just the kisses or the touches that made Maya's heart ache with joy. It was the way Eliza looked at her now, with certainty, without hesitation. There was no more question of does she feel the same? That space of doubt, that painful pause between yes and no, had finally vanished. In its place stood something solid, warm, and real. One evening, they found themselves back on the same balcony where their almost kiss had once left them aching. This time, there was no hesitation. Eliza leaned against the railing, hair glinting in the soft glow of the city lights, and Maya stepped closer, slipping her hand into hers. "Do you ever think about how long we waited?" Maya asked softly. Eliza smiled, squeezing her hand. "Sometimes. But I think we needed that space to realize how much yes truly meant." Maya leaned in, kissing her gently, a kiss that carried gratitude as much as love. When they pulled apart, Eliza rested her forehead against Maya's. "The truth is," she whispered, "I don't want to live in maybes anymore. With you, it's always yes." And in that moment, Maya understood that love wasn't a single confession or a single kiss. Love was a choice, made again and again. To stay, to trust, to reach for each other even when fear tried to pull them apart. From that night on, Maya and Eliza kept choosing yes every day in every small and tender way.